Evan Tweedie, and I'm currently doing a 2-year-long project exploring the impacts of urbanization on biodiversity in my neighborhood. Because the kickoff of ASCI was rather late in the summer to be starting a project focusing on insect and plant diversity, I spent the past 8 months on planning and research, and I'm going to do my data collection over this summer and present it at the next summit. Yeah, okay. And then, so I live in a neighborhood called Edgemont Highlands, just 7 miles northeast of Durango. Edgemont is in the middle of a large montane forest dominated by middle-aged ponderosa pines and gamble oaks. And it's on the southern edge of Missionary Ridge. The reduction of forest, so Edgemont has different methods of, the reduction of forest here seems to be more minimal than other neighborhoods in Durango, as houses have more space between them, and Edgemont usually keeps a lot of the trees in the neighborhood as well. So my neighborhood also has a homeowners association that limits the placement of large items, lawns, and gardens in people's yards. So in this project, I'll be measuring the biodiversity of my neighborhood and in a large forest behind it, which stretches around 1.5 square miles in total area. I will then be comparing the results from each area to determine whether the urbanization of montane forest habitat in my neighborhood has an impact on biodiversity. So, to measure biodiversity in the forest and in my neighborhood, I have set up a large array of testing plots. Rather than being a defined plot of land, each plot is actually just a point from which I'll carry out all my procedures. So I've marked out 12 points, 6 in the forest and 6 in your houses, which are shown in this map. You'll also see in the map a large green square. There's actually a square of BLM land up there. Part of the project Tres Rios, BLM, Tres Rios. And then, so in order to be as accurate as possible in measuring biodiversity in these areas, I'll be looking at diversity in birds, mammals, reptiles, arthropods, plants, and fungi. From each plot marker, which is just a single point, I will stand for a predetermined allotment of time and write down any animals I can see or hear just by standing on one spot the whole time. Then I will measure plant diversity in the plot by using a square made out of PVC that measures to 1 square meter. From the plot marker, I'll throw the square at random from the plot center, and then I'll walk over to wherever I threw it and look at the different plants that are within the square. So I'll just keep a log of anything that I find within that, and I'll record it in a data table that stretches for, so I'll record in spring, summer, and autumn, and then as soon as there's snowfall in winter, then my project is going to have to end. So for the frequency, I'm probably going to check each plot twice a week until snow starts to fall in winter. During the week, I will designate 2 days to sampling the plots, most likely on the weekends. For example, on Saturday, I would go to the forest plots in the morning and house plots in the afternoon, and then vice versa on the next day. So this means I can compare the forest plots and house plots at the same time of day, only a day apart, while still taking into account the different kinds of animals present at different times of day, such as sunrise or in the middle of the day, because there would be different animals present at that time of day, different times of day. So though some plants do have very short seasons, very few have seasons that last under a week in Edgemont. So I think that a frequency of checking them around every 5 or 6 days would be sufficient. So here I have a picture, or here I have some of my time periods. So phase 1 and phase 1.1 were just planning and research, which I've already done. And then I prepared the plots, which for each of the plots, as you can see here, all I did was just put a small wooden stake into the ground at the middle of this, at the middle of the plot center. And then, so then I did 2 practice days where I just went out sort of as like a test run to what I'm going to be doing every week. Then I'm going to have spring sampling, summer sampling, autumn sampling, and then winter sampling, which won't last very long because after snowfall, I can't really do anything on plant diversity. But I might still do things focusing on birds and mammals during that time. So for how I'm going to measure biodiversity in each of these little plots, for animal life, I'll be, of course, it's mostly going to be centered around observations and photos. For different types of invertebrates, I might also use traps, or I might go out with sweep netting in each of the little plots for insects. And then I'm going to do some lab study for invertebrates as well. Plant life is going to be with the quadrat sampling with the PVC square. And then I'm also going to do, of course, observations and photos and a bit of lab study with them as well. Then I'm going to do fungal life as well, which are observations and photos and a bit of lab study. Microscopic life, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for microscopic life yet, if I'm going to go to that length. I might get some soil samples and bring them into a lab and look at them under a microscope, maybe searching for nematodes, but not very. I wouldn't be going as far to bacteria or viruses in each of the plots, but I might look at nematodes or microscopic life like that. So of course, as with any scientific investigation, I wrote a hypothesis for what I expect to find, which is as follows. If I compare the different plots of, if I compare the different species of animals, plants, and fungi present in urbanized forests and untouched forests, I'll find a lower species diversity in areas adjacent to houses because of major alterations of the forest landscape. I expect to see a significant difference in plant and bird diversity, but a small difference in arthropod and mammal diversity. So that's the end of my presentation. And the next summit is when I'm going to be presenting all of my findings for this project.
Go ahead and jump in if you have a question for Evan.
Evan, this is Wendy with the EPA. I just want to say this is an incredibly well thought out project, and I'm excited to see the results. I actually did my first internship out of college with Biodiversity Action Network in Washington, D.C. So it's a very cool, cool field to be studying. So yeah. Good luck and congratulations on this.
Thank you.
I have to agree, Evan has done a really great job on this, and he's really thought about a lot of factors. Alexis had put a question in the chat for you, Evan.
Oh. Nematodes, also known as roundworms, they're little tiny invertebrates that can be found in lots of different environments. There's nematodes inside humans, there's nematodes in soil, near water bodies. They're pretty much found anywhere, but I don't know if I'd go into microscopic life. That might be really difficult, but I might look for nematodes in soil.
I think it's good to put boundaries on the scope of your study.
Yeah.
Can't do everything.
Yeah.
When you get into like your professional life, you'll find that funding is often the limitation of how far you can go into a question. And so you kind of have to be realistic in the boundaries of time and materials and staffing. And So I think that's good to start thinking about those things right now. Brian put something in the chat for you too, Evan.
Oh, yeah, he said he's super curious about what my findings will be.
So that means make plans to come to our summit next year, because that's when we'll start to
definitely
talk about findings. Any more questions, or should we move to the next person?
Amanda, don't forget to invite me to your summit next year. I'd love to be there in person. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm really hopeful we're going to have it in person next year. Well, I'd like to use my reaction tool and give an applause to Evan for his great work. And then Amara, you want to take it away?
So I think Alexis is next. Do you want to go?
Okay, let's see if my computer wants to cooperate today. So my project originally started out as this really large, like, I want to go to multiple different states and study everything that can possibly be with wildfires. As my original question that I wanted to answer was, how do animals bounce back from wildfires? Also, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Alexis, and I go to Animus High School. And so this project started out as a really large one. I want to go study these certain wildfires from different states, which I had planned out to go to California, Oregon, North or South Dakota. I don't remember which one specifically, as well as ones in Colorado and New Mexico. But so I was given a really large reality check, and so my project became, let's do just wildfires in Durango or in like within an hour drive. And so, oops, nope, do not do that. Thank you. And so, really? Okay. And so, what happened with this project is winter rolled around and suddenly traveling wasn't possible with COVID and everything else that's been going on with the world. And so this suddenly became a project that had to go online and what I could find online. Also, can you guys see my screen okay? Okay. And so everything just went downhill really fast with everything with the world. And so this suddenly became a project about how can we help protect our planet. So this suddenly became the project Protect Our Planet and Think of Me. And the me would be animals that live around the world, such as polar bears, because their world is slowly becoming smaller and smaller. And so what this is going to be is there's going to, if my computer would load. So what you can do is you can donate your time or make a donation with your time. And so what I will do is I will, for people who want it, I will send out emails, one email every 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how many they want, about ideas on how to keep a planet alive longer and to help prevent more climate change issues occurring. Also, press this capture button.
Looks like we've got questions already.
So one question I have, so you talked about donating time and then sending emails. So are you asking people to subscribe to your website for information on the topic, or is it kind of just a like, I'd like to get an email kind of thing?
Yeah, so what I was going to do, I have yet to figure out how to do this, but I was going to create like ideas for a minimum of 52 for like one every week for of the year. And so what I was going to do is I'm going to somehow figure out how to create a way to like send an automatic email that I will set up directly after I send the email from the previous week, and also set up a way for them to talk to me on how to on certain ideas. And like, so I said one every 1 or 2 weeks, so I would have a way for them to talk to me about if they want 1 or 2, if they want it 1 every 2 weeks or 1 every 1 week.
Alexis, how do people get on your list?
So I'm going to create like a contact me site like directly below that for like, if you want to get involved, please contact me type of thing. And so like, yeah.
Can you share the link to your website in the chat, please?
Yes. It is not entirely updated. Also, I'm going to have to ask everyone here that has participated for here for like, what's I gonna say? My brain decided to blank. Oh yeah, for pictures to put on my website, so I don't just use the ones that Wix automatically created and used. Give me a second for the link.
Sure. Was there one more question? I thought I saw someone else's hand. I just want to point out that Ms. Dillman from Durango High School put in the chat that she wants to be on your list and she can share it with Durango High School students, which is a great avenue to reach more people. Okay, if there aren't any more questions, maybe we'll keep going. Amara, do you want to introduce the next person? Thanks, Alexis, for sharing your website with us. Great to see it.
Okay, so it looks like Willow is next.
Sorry, 1 second. I thought it would be really embarrassing if I started talking and I was muted. So my project is about wildfire resiliency, and I wanted to make a website that people could go to become more informed on the topic. And so I went through all my options for picking a website, and I saw that a lot of people, when they were on here, they were using Wix, which is, you know, one option. There was Weebly. I went through Squarespace, but I ended up going with one account or program that's called Fat Cow. And one of the reasons why I started to work with them is because they're a green company. So a lot of, like, a large portion of their profits, you know, go to environmentally friendly organizations. And I bought a website for 2 years out, and I purchased a domain called Know to Understand. And there's still a couple bugs in the website, so I'm going to apologize in advance for that. For example, when you go here to all of the home pages, location and cover are where a lot of the resources are that I have that people can go and look at, including like free lesson plans. Sorry, guys. And some, you know, videos and articles that can help you learn more about the topic. And cover is also one of the other ones that has more resources and articles on it. But because of the fact that I'm still getting used to the system and I can't change the names yet, because the program kind of bugged on me before I could finish. They're still currently there, but they will be fixed in, the next week or so. But I kind of made this project because I enjoy outreach with the community. I enjoy speaking to the community on a broader scale and informing the community about certain subjects and whatnot. And I created a blog as well, so I can share relevant articles, or if somebody emails me a relevant article or a question they have, I can answer it on this page. And I just hope that this is a website that people can go to for enrichment, and that some people can go to in case they want to learn more about the topic. But I mean, I'm still working on it, so it's still a very rough draft, but it's what I have so far. And I was just, I was hoping that people can use it to better engage in the topic at hand and better understand it. So, yeah. Any questions?
Why'd you choose fire resiliency? Why didn't you choose biodiversity? Or why should you plant trees or something like that?
So in the beginning of this whole entire process, I kind of, I struggled, and I'm not gonna lie, I struggled a lot because, having the option to do something else, really kind of messed with me, because I'm someone who I think a lot about what I'm doing. And so I picked wildfire resiliency because I felt that it was a topic that not a lot of people understand. And I remember in our kickoff, I was having a conversation with Jeremy, and we were talking about wildfires, and we were talking about how a lot of people don't see them as a good part of, an environment. And we've kind of stopped allowing fires to happen, to the point now that if a fire starts, it gets extremely big. And so I wanted to make sure that I can inform many people on why we shouldn't really be scared and be pushing away fires, but we should be accepting that it is a part of, the environment, and it's a part of the cycle, and it's something that, we have to let happen so that we can get back to a more stable, I guess, environment, so that if one was to start, it doesn't burn millions of acres of land and cause
Catastrophic damage. Well, thank you very much. Could you please put your link in the chat? Alexis asked if you could do that.
Oh, yeah, sorry guys. Quick thing about the link, I'm going to say this with everyone before I even put it in here. If it says not secure, you should probably just take off the beginning, which is the HTTPS ... because that's the only way I was able to access it after I published it. But I thought I would let everyone know before they go in case you can access it. But yeah.
Good to know. I really like that the company you went through is a green company too. That's a cool added bonus.
Yeah, well, it was something that my mom mentioned to me when I was going through different programs and looking at stuff. She was like, oh, well, I've worked with this program before, and they're a green company, so you should probably work with them because it would help. And I was like, yeah, that actually sounds great. So.
In a week.
Sorry, what'd you say? Sorry.
Yeah.
Couldn't hear you.
I was gonna maybe say one thing. First of all, buddy, nice job with your presentations. They were great. One thing, they really were. One thing that you may want to think about is sending your website to various teachers in the area, because I saw that there were definitely some resources that I would maybe use, for example, in an AP environmental science or a resilience unit.
Okay, good to know. Well, I didn't know how to go about that. And because of the fact that I only purchased the beginner plan for it, I can add on and start adding on certain bonuses, which will help it actually involve, I will get a team that will help me push it out more, I guess, in lack of a better term or phrase, but they will help me, use like keywords and stuff so that when people search up, questions on that topic, my site will pop up. So that's something I've looked at, but I haven't invested in yet. So